is among the motion that is being brought by Honorable Mashua Waitaka today. Also on the motion, there is a public health concerns at Langata Cemetery by the Member of Parliament for Langata constituency, Honorable Felix Odiwar. According to Article 42 of the Constitution, that provides that every person is entitled to clean and healthy environment. Further aware that Article 69 of the Constitution that obligates the state to ensure sustainable utilization of the environment and natural resources, including land, and recognition that fourth schedule of the Constitution assigns the national government the function of land planning, including the general principles of land planning and the coordination of the planning by counties, as well as matters of health policy, further recognizing that there is ongoing public outcry concerning the neglect of Langata Public Cemetery, which is situated in Langata constituency, Nairobi County. Also today, on another motion, there is the development and implementation of a program for voluntary. And as you can see, our viewers, the Speaker of the National Assembly is about to open the session of today, walking in to open this a much-awaited session, the session of the morning sitting of the second session. And the Deputy Speaker, Honorable Gladys Boss Cholet, is just walking in, for time for the 9:30 sitting of the 13th Parliament, Wednesday, June 21st, 2023, that starts at exactly 9:30. Also, there will be a motion on planning the growth of eucalyptus trees in the country, brought by Honorable Moses Kirima. There will be an establishment of strategic grain storage reservoirs and silos. And now I do hand over to the proceedings of the day.
Mighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the officers of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor as your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important trusts in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful as a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. I order that, direct that we ring the bell for another 10 minutes. Thank you.
Also, on to today's motions, we have the regulation of the sugar industry to discourage the branding of sugar by non-millers. This is a bill sponsored by Honorable Peter Selassie that he says that as aware that, yeah. Okay. Okay, person. Standing Order 34, if lack of quorum, the bell for 10 minutes have been rung to just allow members of Parliament to walk into the plenary, into the House, and in a bid to achieve the quorum so that the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly can continue with today's proceedings. And also on our today's order paper, we have the regulation of the sugar industry to discourage the branding of sugar by non-millers. This is a bill brought by Honorable Peter Selassie, the Member of Parliament, who says that the importation and exportation of sugar is regulated by various laws, including the Crops Act and Agriculture and Food Authority Act 2023. It's further aware that the Agriculture and Food Authority is charged with the responsibility of regulating the importation and exportation of sugar in the country in accordance with the law, noting that the importation of sugar is also negotiated within the regional trade blocks, fireworks and agreements to enable the country to meet the demand of sugar. Further, noting that individuals or entities are allowed to import.
You shouldn't leave the chamber. We just only allow those who need to come in. Thank you.
Introduction of comprehensive health education as a core subject in school. That's a motion brought by the Honorable Jane Minor, who says that improving public health is a fundamental responsibility for the government, and it's imperative to address pressing health problems facing the young people, including poor sexual and reproductive health, inadequate knowledge and information regarding sexual health, and protection against sexual transmitted infections. She was concerned that the current state of adolescent health training programs is inadequate and fragmented, resulting in limited access to healthcare information and services by the youth in the country. Today, also in the motion, we have the policy for provision of mental health services in all healthcare facilities, sponsored by Honorable Mishi Mboko, that says that the Constitution provides that everybody has a right to the highest attainable standard of health, including the right to healthcare services, saying that mental health is a key of determinant overall health and social economic development, recognizing that the Constitution assigns to the national government the responsibility of matters of health policy, concerned that according to the World Health Organization, mental and neurological disorders are common and about 10% of the global population suffer from at least one mental health disorder at any given time. Also, Honorable Caleb Amisis brought a motion implementation of first aid training as a core subject in school. Also, the motion on establishment of national fund to support victims of gender-based violence brought by Honorable Mary Emase, saying that Article 29 of the Constitution provides the right of every person to freedom from any form of violence, further aware that the gender-based violence is a serious violation of human rights, with records indicating that 1 in every 3 women will experience sexual or physical violence in the lifetime, noting that according to the UN Refugee Agency, gender-based violence includes sexual, physical, mental, and economic harm inflicted in the public or in private, and may involve threats of violence, coercion, and manipulation in form of intimate partner violence, sexual violence, child marriage, and female genital mutilation. She further notes that timely response and effective post-management of GBV incidents is critical in curbing the effects of these incidences to victims at large. Also, another motion brought by Honorable Naomi Wako, the Member of Parliament, on urgent actions to address the recent surge in road accidents in the country, noting that the National Transport and Safety Authority Act 2012 provides for the establishment of the National Transport and Safety Authority. She further went that the authority, in line with Section 4 of this Act, plays a critical role in ensuring the provision of safe, reliable and effective and efficient road transport services, concerned that there have been alarming surge in road accidents in the recent past, resulting in loss of lives, injuries and damage to properties. Further, concerned that the authority has not effectively and fully performed its function of regulating safe and reliable transport services, especially in dealing with public service vehicles, noting that poor maintenance of motor vehicles and lack of deeply concerned that school-going children are increasingly becoming victims of these road accidents. Also, there is an adoption of government-to-government model to acquire and supply fertilizer to farmers at subsidized cost. This is the motion brought by Honorable Joseph Ruku, the Member of Parliament, saying that Kenya is an agricultural-based economy with a significant portion of its population relying on farming for their livelihoods. It notes that further quality and quantity of crop yields in Kenya has been hampered to a large extent by lack of adequate and quality fertilizers, leading to decreased agricultural productivity and economic losses. It further notes that the government has committed to improving agricultural productivity through various initiatives, including provincial of subsidized fertilizers, concerning that the cost, quantity and quality of fertilizers, and subsequently the cost of production of food crops, cash crops, including coffee, tea and miraa, has increased due to the number of factors, among them high cost of fertilizers due to marker by private suppliers of fertilizers, concerned that threat to food security is a threat to national security, recognizing that the government model has been noted to lower cost of production, and also recognizing that the account is willing to enter into an agreement between that of the government-to-government model to acquire the supply of fertilizers to farmers at subsidized cost. He also recognizes that they have been proven to be effective and efficient and improves the livelihoods, including the cost of living, such as the supplies of fertilizers, particularly in countries with similar agricultural condition as Kenya. The House will resolve that the government, through the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, adopts that the government-to-government model in the acquisition and supply of fertilizers by identifying potential partner countries that have surplus and quality of fertilizers and corporate units like the Kenya Tea Development Agency, KTDA, Coffee Board of Kenya, Kenya Planters Corporation, KPCU, Kenya Grain Growers Corporations, and among others like those of the tea growers and Pyrethrum Board of Kenya. Also, in person to according to Standing Orders 34 of lack of quorum, the quorum has been achieved in the House, and we will be directing you to the plenary of the House where the proceedings of the day are set to begin. The proceedings will be chaired by the Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Gladys Boss-Cholet, who will be bringing us up to speed with the proceedings of the day, which include the motion on the banning the growing of the eucalyptus trees in the country, that of establishment of strategic grain storage reservoirs and silos in close of proximities to smallholding farmers, the motion on development of policy and funding for junior secondary school that has been brought by Honorable Joseph Ruku, the Member of Parliament, the Equalization Fund and Appropriation Bill, that is the Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, which will be brought by the chairperson.
You may now stop the bell.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 21st June 2023, morning sitting. Annual report and financial statements of Kenya Civil Aviation Authority for the year ended 30th June 2021. Annual report of the National Intelligence Service for the year ended 31st December 2022. Reports of the Auditor General and financial statements in respect of the following constituencies for the year ended 30th June 2022 and the certificates therein. Tinderet, Central Imenti, Moiben, Ainabkoi, Runyenjes, Tharaka, Marakwet East, Marakwet West, Cherangani, Mngwen, Nandi Hills, Manyata, Keses, Igembe Central, Mosop, Chesumei, Tigania East, Chuka Igamba Ng'ombe, North Imenti, and Keio South. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements. Order number 8, procedural motion, exemption of business from Standing Order 40, paragraph 3.
What is your point of order, Leader of Minority?
Madam Speaker, sorry, I was at the table. I wish I was here earlier. Madam Speaker, I'm just rising to raise an issue which perhaps may require the intervention of the substantive speaker. But since you are sitting on the chair, I'm sure you are equal to the task. Yeah. Madam Speaker, yesterday afternoon, it must have come to the attention of members, perhaps some members, of some not so desirable occurrences within the presence and outside the presence of Parliament. I want just to take you, Madam Speaker, to Article 118 of the Constitution. And at Sub-Article 1, Parliament shall conduct its business in an open manner, and its sittings and those of its committees shall be in public. At B, it will also facilitate public participation and involvement in the legislative and so on and so forth. Now, Sub-Article 2, Parliament may not exclude the public or any media from any sitting unless in exceptional circumstances the relevant speaker has determined that there are justifiable reasons for the exclusion. Madam Speaker, I don't want to go on and on. The point here is that, Madam Speaker, yesterday at around 1:32 p.m., there was unseemly commotion at the gate of Parliament and within the precincts of Parliament, along Parliament Road and I think Le Selassie or Harambe Avenue. Madam Speaker, to an extent that the police were firing tear gas canisters, whose effect actually permeated the presence of Parliament, including my own office, and affected my own staff and everybody else. Madam Speaker, what I've been briefed is that some members of the public, I think in anticipation of the debate on the finance bill, had come to Parliament, to the presence of Parliament at the gate, to, of course, either show solidarity with the members of Parliament or express their feelings about the bill, Madam Speaker. They are essentially, I think, picketing within the meaning of picketing under Article 37 of the Constitution. Madam Speaker, why I'm raising this issue is that we need to set the record straight. I don't think we want, as a Parliament of the Republic of Kenya, to act differently from other parliaments of the world, at least of the civilized world. The world over, Madam Speaker, parliaments are known as public spaces, public utilities, public institutions that the public access at will. This happens even at the Capitol Hill in the US, everywhere. You go to Westminster Bay in the UK, everywhere, including some cities in Africa. Madam Speaker, I want you to make a ruling. A ruling, Madam Speaker, to guide first and foremost the House, but more importantly the police. Because if we allow this precedent that was set yesterday to have its way, we are going to basically be telling Kenyans and the world that this House or this Parliament of the Republic of Kenya wants to isolate itself from the very public it's supposed to be serving. Madam Speaker, what is it what kind of threat was the police or was the public, an armed public, going to pose to the House or anybody else by simply coming close to Parliament and picketing and cheering and even jeering, Madam Speaker? We cannot afford to be seen to be complicit in the gagging of the public when they're expressing their views on issues which they feel are pertinent, Madam Speaker. The public must be allowed to not only access Parliament, but also to picket around it, at will. At will. Madam Speaker, I am raising very serious issues, and my friend doesn't understand. Yes. He has no capacity to understand what I'm trying to do. Yes. Madam Speaker, we have come a long way as a country. Kenyans went to the trenches. Kenyans went to the trenches to be able to attain the kind of freedoms we have currently under the Constitution. We must jealously guard those freedoms. that are enshrined
Yes,
in the
what's your
Constitution.
point of order?
Madam Speaker, thank you.
But he has completed. Have you completed?
Okay, let me conclude.
Yes.
So, Madam Speaker, I simply want to urge you, and let us be tolerant. Let us be tolerant, members. You know, in this house we have been here with my friend Kimani Chungwa and others. Today you are there shouting to please people in the executive. Tomorrow you will be here crying. I'm telling you, we have seen it all here. So, Madam Speaker, let us not be seen to be people who are curtailing the freedoms and rights of Kenyans as enshrined in the very, very progressive Bill of Rights in our Constitution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I submit.
Thank you, my minority leader. Majority leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And let me just begin first by agreeing with the leader of minority that one, it's good for us to conduct ourselves with some decorum, allow each other to be heard. And as he rightly says, today you may be here celebrating. Next time you'll be on the other side crying, like Opio and I is crying today. And only 9 months ago, Madam Speaker, you know, Opio and I then sitting where John Buddy is sitting, and he used to also like that corner there, would be cheering as John Buddy celebrated very major atrocities against us and the Kenyan people. But I don't stand here to celebrate atrocities against anybody. And I don't celebrate any travesties on just the justice of the people of Kenya. And Parliament, as Opio and I says, is an open place to members of the public. However, Honorable Speaker, we live in a civilized democracy. And in a civilized democracy, like happens all over the world, around parliaments, they are picketing corners. Around the world, parliaments, including the Parliament of the Republic of Kenya, members of the public are allowed into the public gallery, and with the Speaker's permission, even to the Speaker's gallery, to be able to watch and follow the proceedings of the House. And in this endeavor to have an open parliament for the welfare of society and a just government of the people, that is why even our debates are televised live by the Parliamentary Broadcast Unit, to ensure that Kenyans from wherever they are, even from the comfort of their homes, they can be able to follow debate. But that, Honorable Speaker, doesn't mean that we live in an island. And it's only yesterday or the day before, I think it was on Thursday or yesterday, that the Speaker reminded us about our own safety within the precincts of Parliament, and more so within these chambers. And he reminded us about the bombing of parliaments around the world, I think in Beirut, in Lebanon. You remember most recently in Burkina Faso, mobs taking over parliament and burning parliament, the parliament of Burkina Faso. And I say we don't live in an island, Honorable Speaker, because we have seen what those who associate with Opio and I, my minority leader, believe to be peaceful protests and peaceful demonstrations. And therefore, if the police in their wisdom feel it is not secure to allow people who purport to be picketers or demonstrators or peaceful demonstrators around and within the precincts of Parliament to protect the Honorable Opio and I, or to protect the Honorable Mwenje or the Honorable Owen Bayer, it is within the right of the police to exclude anybody who they feel is a threat to our national security and the security of members of Parliament, including the Honorable Opio and I, our leader of minority, who must at all times be protected because of the many things he needs to be protected against. And that is why the government of Kenya, through the Inspector General of Police, has even provided a number of bodyguards. I think a minimum of 14 bodyguards, the Honorable Opio and I, as leader of the minority. Yes, you may not know it, John Buddy. The leader of minority is entitled to 14 bodyguards, guarding even his residences, both in the village, in Nairobi, and elsewhere. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, if the police have opted to ensure the leader of minority and the leader of majority and each and every member of parliament is protected by the police, even our staff working in this house, Honorable Speaker, deserve protection. And therefore, we should not take it that anybody is precluding people from following the proceedings of the house when the police do what they want to do. And I want to speak to those people who are being mobilized to come and attempt, because, Honorable Speaker, I am also in the know, having engaged with a number of intelligence officers around this house. And you know there are enough intelligence officers in, outside, and around this house, Honorable Speaker, that there are people who are being mobilized I hear people asking by who. I don't know what is itching you. I say there are people who are being mobilized to attempt to intimidate members of parliament not to come to and carry out their constitutional mandate yesterday afternoon, today, and tomorrow. And I want to ask the Inspector General of Police, even now, anybody who wants to picket around parliament needs to notify the police where they want to picket, over what. If they can write to the speaker, I am sure around KICC on the opposite side, I think there is already some space that is now already designated as a picketing corner. And your right to picket and demonstrate ends where mine to carry out my constitutional work as a member of parliament begins. Nobody should attempt to stop any member of parliament from coming to do their work as members of parliament. However you feel about the finance bill or any other business. And you may as well protest in our constituencies. You may protest anywhere else, but do so peaceably or in a peaceful manner and in line with all the provisions of Public Order Act, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, I don't want to take that there was any sinister move in excluding people who the police and the Inspector General of Police felt were a threat to the security of members of parliament. Because above anything else, Honorable Speaker, our own safety here, as the Speaker said, the substantive Speaker said yesterday, is paramount. And that's why the Speaker even yesterday was pleading with us, even as we walk in. As I walked in here, I stood there and allowed the Sergeant at Arms to carry out a body search on me. I was hoping the Speaker yesterday would name the member who was threatening to strip, because a Sergeant at Arms has asked her to be searched. Because members, as the Speaker said yesterday, we must be careful. If we lose any one of us here because of a bombing, or somebody walked in here with a gun. I remember in the last parliament, there was an incident where a member was seated behind me here and was said to have carried a gun. So the things that we are talking about, Honorable Speaker, are not things in the air. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, you need to protect the Honorable Babu Owino. Babu Owino has never carried a gun into the chamber. Babu Owino has only carried guns elsewhere. Therefore, you need to make sure that Babu Owino does not walk in here with a gun. Or indeed Kimani Ichung'wah doesn't walk in here with a gun. Or anything else, even a grenade, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, I would beg that we do allow our security agencies to secure us, but to tell Kenyans and the world that the Parliament and the National Assembly of Kenya is an open place for people, and Kenyans are free to picket. Kenyans are free to air their views. If anything, I said yesterday, this finance bill is the only finance bill, actually the only bill that we have transacted in the last close to 15 years that has had the most robust public participation. As I came this morning, I was listening to a local FM still called Kamehameha FM. And on that Kamehameha FM, Honorable Speaker, I had some former MCA who was a cleaner in my county. Yeah, he used to be a sweeper and was elected, fortunately, as an MCA, pretending to be a finance expert and saying all manner of fake things on Kamehameha FM. But since we know the Kamehameha FM, the owners are part of the propaganda machinery against the finance bill, we allow them. And I also want to assure the people of Kenya, even as they picket, even as they express their views, as I said during the second reading, a lot of the misinformation, lies, and propaganda, including that on Kamehameha FM, what you are being told is not true. Nobody will die because this finance bill has passed. Nobody will get hurt because this finance bill has been passed by this House. And I want to ask the Honorable Robert Bui also, this afternoon, be ready to vote for those progressive clauses in that bill that you think will be beneficial to the people of Kathiani. Those that you think are not beneficial, I want to ask you to bring amendments and not to play to the gallery. Honorable Speaker, let me end it there because we have very important business ahead of us, and I don't think this was a matter for debate. I just want to respond to my good friend, the Honorable Pio Andai, to assure him that he is secure, he is safe. But as much as you are safe, please do not organize anybody to preclude me from coming to the House, or any member of Kenya Kwanza to be intimidated, or any member of Azimio to be intimidated by those who support this bill from coming to oppose this bill on the floor. Babu Owino should have the freedom to come and oppose this bill on the floor. And I know those who are not in the House, like my friend, the former leader of minority, the Honorable John Buddy, gets very excited because he needs to be seen that he is opposing this bill. Those who never voted for second reading in Azimio need to be seen and to be heard that they are opposing this bill. Because if they are not seen and heard, you have seen the kind of letters they are getting from ODM. And ODM also, as a political party, Honorable Speaker, must stop intimidating its members. They must stop. Members have the freedom of conscience to vote as they want.
No!
I do not want to name you Lydian Gogo. ODM must protect its members. Stop intimidating members of parliament.
Order, members.
They must be...
Order, members. Order, members. Order, members. I'll give a response to member for Lugari, Nabwera, Nabi. I've given you the mic, member for... Order, members.
Thank you.
Order, members.
Kaa chini wewe.
Give the opportunity.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Lugari, your hand was up.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to raise two critical things. Number one, Madam Speaker, we have a duty to protect the Constitution and the integrity of this House. The most important thing that Honorable and I raised is, Madam Speaker, the issue of throwing tear gas into the presence of Parliament when there was no threat at all. That is the issue. Secondly, Madam Speaker, I was out there when police were blocking people. Those people were not armed. In fact, I walked because they had blocked the road. I left my car and walked peacefully up to this place. Madam Speaker, it is not fair. It is not fair for the majority leader to insinuate that Kenyans who are peaceful are always rowdy. It is not fair to the public who have sent us here if they want to participate by picketing, observing, they be blocked by police. Madam Speaker, I want to confirm that all of us want to have a sober debate. But it's also unfair for the majority leader, in responding to Wandai, to turn it into an ODM Kenya Kwanza issue. That is very, very unfair. We can't allow it.
What's your point of order, Honorable Mbadi?
Madam Speaker,
Madam Speaker, kindly, I want to appeal for sober debate on this matter. Madam Speaker, I think the question before us here is about the rights of Kenyans to picket, the rights of Kenyans to express themselves vis-a-vis what the Leader of Majority has said about the security of members of Parliament. Those are two issues that I think we need to deal with as a House. Whereas I agree that Parliament as an institution must be protected from any harm, any threat, any insecurity. That is also done everywhere in the world. Yes, we don't want to see cases like what happened in Capitol Hill when the supporters of the former President Trump invaded the precincts of that institution. But again, we must allow Kenyans the latitude and freedom to express themselves around the precincts of Parliament peacefully. There is no indication or evidence that those Kenyans who came around the precincts of Parliament yesterday threatened the peace, threatened the security of members of Parliament. If there is that evidence, it needs to be tabled. We need to be tolerant, and as a House, I think it is high time that we created a space. You cannot ask those who want to picket about parliamentary proceedings to go to KICC. It must be around Parliament. And Madam Speaker, we have been very tolerant. In fact, at the gates of Parliament, we have seen Kenyans coming even with pigs and calling us pigs. We never beat anybody. We allowed them to picket. And in fact, Madam Speaker, during my tenure as minority leader, and it is very unfair for majority leader, who is a very good friend of mine, even at personal level, to come to the House and tell Kenyans that when I was minority leader, that I was cheering the tribulations of other members. I think that is unfair to me. I am one member of Parliament. I am one person who power has never gone into his head. I don't allow power to get into my head. And Madam Speaker, for the information of Kimani Ichung'wah, I don't need to prove anything as a member of Parliament for my coalition to know, or my party to know, my level of loyalty and my level of commitment towards the just cause of the people of Kenya. I have done it previously, I continue to do it, and I will do it up to the time that God has planned that I will be sitting in this House. I don't know when. So my friend, Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, lastly, Madam Speaker, allow me, because he mentioned me about 3 times. He's my very good friend. And I want to persuade him again that, you know, when you get power, manage power. I see the majority leader as a gentleman who used to be very polished when he was the chair of the budget committee and when he was my student as a legislator. I have been tutoring him, including his coming to my house, and we were discussing, and I've been telling him how to conduct himself. When he has become majority leader, Madam Speaker, he is completely wasted. He has become arrogant. He even talked to seniors like me, and very rude. So, Madam Speaker, please save us from the majority leader.
You cannot impute on the character of others. Honorable members, we have other business to transact. I think the point raised by Honorable, you don't have the mic. Honorable Okello, you do not have the mic. Honorable members, I think the issue that has been raised by Honorable Wandai and also responded to by various members and their views given. As we know, the happenings of yesterday, Honorable Babu Owino, you do not have the mic. You're out of order. You have risen without permission. No, Honorable Babu. No. For you to rise and shout from your chair is in fact disrespectful. Honorable members, like I said, we have already, this matter has been ventilated sufficiently. Everyone has given their views. Unfortunately, I'm unable to make any decision on it now because I do not have the facts I probably will need to, I don't have the investigation of what transpired yesterday with me, so we'll defer that for communication later from the Speaker's chair. So I think now we will move back for efficiency of Parliament. We need to move back. Yes, I know that. Last time the matter is not properly before the House, and therefore there is no need to debate on it. We shall have opportunity to debate on it later. So right now, let us move back to order number 5. Papers, budget, chairperson, budget committee.
Thank you very much, Honorable Madam Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 21st June 2023. Report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of the below bills. 1, the Equalization Fund Appropriations Bill, that is the Senate Bill number 3 of 2023, and number 2, the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, that is Senate Bill number 16 of 2023. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, exemption of business from Standing Order 43.
Majority Leader.
Order number 8. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House resolves to exempt business appearing as orders number 9, 10, and 11 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party, or business sponsored by a committee. Honorable Speaker, as I've said, this motion is just a procedural motion to allow debate on 1, consideration of the supplementary estimates 2 for the financial year 2022-2023. We also have the County Allocation of Revenue Bill, Senate Bill number 16 of 2023, and the Equalization Fund Appropriation Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2023. Honorable Speaker, these motions and bills are sponsored by the Budget and Appropriations Committee, and we need to avail time for their passage of these very important financial bills that have timelines, and that is why in the House Business Committee yesterday, Honorable Speaker, we did agree as the House Business Committee that would exempt business in line with the provision of Standing Order 43 to allow us to be able to transact business this morning, and therefore stand down the private members' motions until we finish with the orders at order number 9, 10, and 11. And Honorable Speaker, that does not mean should we be able to finish them in time, because I can see we have slightly less than 3 hours to transact those bills. Honorable Speaker, in case you're able to finish, there are also other motions lined up, but looking at the time, Honorable Speaker, we may not have time for this. Honorable Speaker, even as I call on a seconder to second, if you indulge me, since my good friend, the Honorable John Buddy, alluded to the fact that I could be arrogant, and he knows, and I've been to his house, and he knows what I went to do in his house. And he knows it had no tinge of arrogance, but he knows I am a person who believes in the truth, and at times, people like John Buddy will mistake being told the truth for arrogance. But I have no tinge of arrogance, but I have a penchant for the truth and saying it as it is. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, even I say as it is, I will ask that he bears with me. And it's obvious, at times students become better than the teacher. And it better not be a problem to the teacher when the student became better than the teacher. Honorable Speaker, allow me to ask my good Deputy Whip, the Honorable Naomi Wako, member for Marsabit County, to second.
Madam Speaker, I second. Thank you.
What's your point of order, Honorable Makali? Honorable Makali, why don't I propose the question faster than you? Honorable Makali, please give your point of order after. It has been seconded. That's what I said, yeah. No, honorable member, I requested politely that if you could have a seat, I put the question. Honorable members, I now propose the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as orders number 9, 10, and 11 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Honorable members, Honorable Makali, just put what's your point of order?
Yeah,
the middle of...
You know, Honorable Speaker, with all due respect to honorable members, you must realize that this is a house of rules and procedures, and a point of order is allowed in the standing orders. You cannot deny a member a chance to talk.
What's your point of order? Go ahead with your point
Honorable
of order.
Speaker, yesterday, Honorable Speaker, when the Speaker of this House, the National Assembly, was making a statement before we went for Committee of the Whole House, he did say that if we go by midnight and we have not completed the bill on finance bill, this morning we will be moving a procedural motion to continue the finance bill. The leader of majority of this House is now not moving this House to debate the finance bill. He's moving a procedural bill to bring other bills. When the Speaker of this House did direct that this morning the members will be debating finance bill if we don't complete by midnight. And we are very much aware, Honorable Speaker, that this has not been changed. We have not completed. How I wish that you as the sitting Speaker now, you would have guided the House, because that was the directive from the Speaker before we get to this other business, Honorable Speaker. That's my point of order. Thank you.
Yeah, the Speaker did not make any such ruling. Yes. May we put the question? Is it the mood of the House to put the question? And in any case, honorable members, in any case, the minority leader, the majority leader sit in the House Business Committee, and you actually know what transpired there. Yes. So let's put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question that this House resolves to exempt the business appearing as order number 9, 10, 11 in today's order paper from the provisions of Standing Order 43, being a Wednesday morning, a day allocated for business not sponsored by the majority or minority party or business sponsored by a committee. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Next order. Next order.
Order number 9, motion. Consideration of the supplementary estimates 2 for the financial year 2022-2023.
Chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that...
Honorable Chair, Budget, hold on 1 second before you move. Honorable Budget Chair, you may now proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am moving this motion in an amended form, and especially in the schedules, where we are amending slightly an increase of Kenya shillings 189 million at a vote 1052, that is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and a reduction of Kenya shillings 189 million at a vote 1053, State Department for Foreign Affairs, which is basically a rearrangement, Honorable Speaker. And therefore, in that amended form, Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on the second supplementary estimates for financial year 2022-2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, that is yesterday, 20th June 2023, and pursuant to the provisions of Article 223 of the Constitution and Standing Order 243. 1. Approves an increment of the total recurrent expenditure for financial year 2022-2023 by Kenya shillings 9,515,817,997 shillings in respect of the votes as contained in the schedules. 2. Approves a decrease of a total capital expenditure for financial year 2022-2023 by Kenya shillings 34,977,926,251 in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. 3. Approves an overall decrease in the total budget for financial year 2022-2023 by Kenya shillings 25,462,108,254 shillings in respect of the votes as contained in the schedule. And 4. Resolves that the schedule forms the basis for the introduction of the supplementary appropriations number 2 bill of 2023. I can see there is a change in the chair from Madam Chair to from Madam Speaker to Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Honorable Speaker, the essence of having this supplementary estimates, that is number 2, Honorable Speaker, number 1, is to be able to tidy up the budget. As we come to the close of financial year, that is on 30th of June, Honorable Speaker, it becomes even more vivid and more clearer on the amount of revenues that we are likely to collect as a country, and therefore it is important to align those revenues with the expenditure. And I say this, Honorable Speaker, because as members are aware, budgets are made based on projections. And budgets are usually proposals. They are never cast on stone, because all the things that you consider the budget on, and especially on the revenue side, are variables, Honorable Speaker. They are not absolutes. And that is why it is always important to align our aspirations with the amount of revenue that you are likely to collect. Honorable Speaker,